Good evening. It's Wednesday. It's just on 7 o'clock, and this is your Wednesday Wellness Live. Hello, welcome. Just let me know that you can hear me and see me. For some reason, I haven't had a notification on my phone that we've gone live. So, yeah, just give me some sort of thumbs up or something just to let me know that you are there and watching and listening. Because, like I say, on my phone, I have nothing. There's a lot of technology in here. I can't even begin to tell you how much technology is in this room right now to make this happen. So, if you can hear me, yay! Thank you, Lindsay. That's it. I'm all good. Why have I not got a notification? There we go. I've got my notification. Just came through a little bit late. Let me turn that down. Good grief! 21 of you in the room. Thank you, everybody. Right, I am gonna share. How do I share? I ask you to share, and then I'm going, how do I share? You just press the little button at the bottom. How are you doing? We're gonna look at happiness. Whoa, happiness. What's it about? I sometimes find with happiness, that it's like, it almost feels like it's this elusive thing that we reach for and we go for. And what is it? What is happiness? How do we define happiness? What makes us happy? What makes us feel happy? All of those questions and more will be answered during the next hour. Evening, everybody. The feed is really busy, which is amazing. I love that. Thank you. Don't forget you can feed into here and you can ask any questions you want to ask, any questions that I'm not currently covering, that you want to ask, any subjects that I'm not covering, then please message it in and I will try over the next, I think we've got 6 weeks left. Try over the next 6 weeks to answer or cover any, this shirt's a little bit tight, cover any subjects we're not covering. Okay? So I think that's a little bit of lockdown tight, don't you? So yeah, happiness, that's what we're going to look at. For anybody that's just joining us, where have you been? We've been here since the beginning of October. This is something like show 16 or 17. I meant to count it earlier, but I didn't count it. These shows are put on between myself, Kevin Guthrie, psychotherapist and coach with a passion for changing people and for people becoming the very best versions of who they are. And happiness is part of that. Myself and Newcombe Show District Council teamed up last October and we put these lives out every Wednesday to help people through what we thought was going to be a fairly difficult winter, because of everything that happened last year, and it has been, it's dark, it's dank, and people always struggle with that a little bit more. So we wanted to put something on, a resource that you could take away, and it just really helped you during the winter months. So here we are in the middle of February. We have about 6 weeks to go. By the time we finish at the end of March, the clocks will have changed again and we will be definitely back into springtime and then back into summertime. Just 6 weeks to go. How amazing is that? What a journey we have been on. So we're going to look at happiness. Evening, everybody. I can't, there's too many of you to say hello to, but I'm just going to say a massive evening to everybody. So happiness. Here we go. So happiness is an emotional state characterized by feelings of joy, satisfaction, contentment, and fulfillment. While happiness has many different definitions, it is often described as involving positive emotions and life satisfaction. Sometimes I think we confuse satisfaction with feelings of joy. I think joy and elation are different to happiness. For me, happiness is like it's more of a casual, I feel happy. It's not a, yes, I feel amazing. That's slightly different. So I have a question for you, because what I wrote down here was happiness isn't all of the time. Reaching for this would be too much. But we reach for being happier, okay? We can't be happy all the time. It is just unobtainable, and it's an unrealistic expectation of ours as humans that we should be happy all the time. So I've got a question for you. And the question is, out of 7 days, what would you be content with in terms of happiness? What percentage would you give me out of 1 week, 7 days, that you would be happy with? I'm going to start the ball rolling by giving you. So remember, happiness, sadness, elation. So how much of the week do I want to spend here in happiness? I'm going to go 50% of the week. Just 50% of the week, I would be content with that level of happiness. So give me your answers. What level, what percentage would you be happy with as a mean average over a 7-day period? A mean average. Let's have a look at that. Percentage wise, let's go with percentages. Welcome to all the new people in the group. Thank you so much for being here. That's amazing. So let's just put 5. Well, what kind of percentage is that? What kind of percentage is 5? 5 out of 7. I'm gonna go 60%, 65%. Is that about right? I'm terrible at maths. Carrie Sara has put 70%. That's good. So remember, I said 50. I'd be happy with 50. 50 being the mean average, and then we have moments of high joy and elation, and then we can have moments of sadness as well, or days that we're just not feeling so great. But I'd be really cool with. In fact, I am. And I'm all right with. Julie's put. You have some high marks coming in here. We have some high expectations of what you're expecting from happiness. Yeah, there's some high expectations there. So let's have a look at some recent studies. What I'm going to do is I'm going to split this into 2 halves. I want to do the science of happiness, because what's happened over the years is we kind of thought we knew what happiness was, and then all of this science came in and backed it up. By science, I mean they have done masses and masses of studies around testing people around things like kindness, being outside, exercise, and we can now test the body for hormones and chemicals that we're going to talk about in a little while. So now we have a science that backs stuff up, and we can measure the body in terms of when we do particular acts, we can then measure the body and see where it takes us to. And some of that kind of cross references through to happiness. So I found this one really interesting, and I heard this one a few weeks ago as well. Money can only buy happiness up to $75,000. After that, it has no significant effect on our emotional well-being. So $75,000, that's earnings. So $75,000, I'm almost sure it's like a pound for pound. After that, no significant change. I heard that a few weeks ago and I was quite fascinated by it. So it doesn't matter whether you earn 75,000 or 150 or 200,000, the level of happiness hasn't changed at all. How fascinating is that? I was absolutely gobsmacked. I honestly thought that it would be much, much higher than that. Most of our happiness is not determined by our genetics, but by our experiences and our day-to-day lives. So we now know that genetics isn't a factor. However, what is a factor, and it doesn't say that here, so I want to add this in, is that we can be affected by our genetics in terms of our what's the word? Not ability. In terms of being depressed, that can be genetic, and there's a thing called epigenetics where trauma can be passed from generation to generation. So that can affect us in terms of depression and sadness, and therefore it would have an effect on happiness. But what they're saying here is our genetics don't have a direct effect on our happiness. So I understand that part. Trying too hard to find happiness often has the opposite effect and can lead to being overly selfish. By this, I feel that they mean that sometimes we look for and we strive for and we look for happiness in the strangest things, like a big car, a big house, nice clothing, a tight face, big boobs, a tight bum, a six-pack, all of those things. Very, very visual and material things. And actually, when we go down that route, it can lead us into kind of like selfish type behaviors. Okay? The pursuit of happiness is one where we should consider ditching the SMART goals, SMART. It may be more effective to pursue vague happiness goals more than specific ones. What they're saying there is, I don't know, I'm going to be happy when I live in a 6-bedroomed house with a swimming pool. I'm going to be happy when I have a Lamborghini, or I'm going to be happy when I earn £10,000 a month. They're very, very specific goals right there, and that they are not going to lead to happiness. And what I do want to say from the off is that, where's my mic? Happiness comes from here. Happiness, remember this the whole way through this broadcast, happiness comes from here. It does not definitely come from everything that we have around us. You can get a little bit of joy. Do you know what I mean? I get a little bit of joy through dressing a room, as you can see behind me. I get a little bit of joy, but ultimately this is not my happiness. This is not what's going to make me happy. There's just a little bit of joy in having a cushion that's plumped or that matches a picture that's on the wall, but that is not ultimate happiness. Okay, so we need to remember that happiness does not come from all of this. It comes from in here. It wouldn't matter if I always say about these people that live in 10-bedroomed houses and they have millions of pounds in the bank, and they, oh yeah, it's amazing, oh my gosh, she's a multimillionaire, and I'm like, that does not bring happiness. Being a multimillionaire does not. It just doesn't bring. And that study there shows it. After £75,000 a year earnings, we don't become any happier. It has no effect on us whatsoever. Happiness makes us better citizens if it is a good predictor of civic engagement in the transition to adulthood. Happiness leads to career success, and it doesn't have to be natural happiness. Researchers have found that experimental enhancing positive emotions also contributed to improved outcomes at work. They're referring there to fake it till you make it. Fake it till you make it is when I kind of put gratitude, and we're going to talk more about gratitude later, of course, because it leads into happiness. When we do a gratitude list, and I've talked about this before, everything that I'm going to deliver tonight I've talked about before. This is just concise around happiness. But fake it till you make it. It's like I can. Going into a job saying, yes, I can do this, yes, I can do this, yes, I can do this. And then all of a sudden, if you keep doing that, then all of a sudden one day you can do this. When we do gratitude lists, for example, we force ourselves into a place of being grateful for everything that's around us. That almost falls into fake it till you make it. Although we are pulling on something very natural. I've never once, I never now say no to anything. If somebody says to me, will you go and do this talk for me? Will you go and talk in front of 5,000 people, which I've never done? And then I go, yeah. My immediate answer now is yes, I'll do that. And then I walk away and go, oh my goodness, what have I done? What have I done? And I think about it afterwards. I think about it afterwards because I know that I can get there, and I know that I would be able to do it after I've gotten over my nerves. But I never say, let me just think about that. I go, yep, I can do that. No problem at all. What was I going to say? I was going to say hello to Joey. Joey's in the room. Hi, Joey. Right, let me read through some of these comments. So Joe Hill's put, I'm happy when others are happy. I absolutely agree with that. And we're going to look into the science of that a little bit later on, because there is a science behind that, and it's to do with us being social animals. Amanda Wilson has put, I always think setting up camp is grown-ups Wendy House. I love camping. I love that. There's something really interesting about going from childhood to adulthood. And sometimes I think we forget that when we're adults, that actually we can still be children, or we can still be childlike. I had that conversation with somebody yesterday, and it felt like when this person was talking to me, they were talking around that they'd forgotten what it was like to have fun, because all of a sudden, job, serious job, and earnings, and mortgage, and bills to pay, and children to look after, and we lose ourselves as adults. We lose ourselves, and I want to encourage childlike behaviour, not childish, childlike behaviour. Don't know what that means. Oh, right. Let's have a look at some of these comments, because the stacks. I feel like it feels like you're having an amazing conversation with each other here. I love this. Amanda Wilson just put, the smallest things make me happy. I don't subscribe to the larger stuff to bring happiness. Absolutely. Funny how we were talking about happiness. Joey has this nailed on. He's made me a den in the living room. He's buzzing. Oh, I love that. Can we see the den, please? Hadra's put, I'm happy most of the time, so I will say 80%. Hadra, thank you for the most beautiful silk pillow slips that you've made us. I love them. They're absolutely beautiful. So pillow slips, get it, I can't wait to go to bed. It's lovely. Uh, so some of those figures I felt like a little bit high. Lisa's put 40, Leslie's put 60, Amanda 80. So remember with happiness, before we continue, it's not an all-time thing. Contentment and peace can be an all-time thing. You know, but like happy for me is like happy. That's like happy. But then you have like contentment. I think some of you are kind of going with more of a contentment type vibe. I think that's what you're looking at there. So let's have a look at some of the science behind happiness. I forgot what I was delivering. I was trying to work out how to drink this without slurping. Serotonin. Somebody asked me last week what I was drinking. It's tea with lemon and honey. It's one of my favourite drinks. Decaf tea, of course. Does serotonin make you happy? So serotonin and dopamine are two of the chemicals that the body releases around events of achievement and happiness. But I'm going to break them down for you a little bit. All of the stuff that I'm going to deliver tonight literally falls into line with everything that I've delivered over the last 16 weeks. This just backs up a little bit in terms of science. Serotonin is a neurotransmitter that's created in the brain as well as the intestines. That part's interesting. Serotonin is also released in the intestines. So you know when we get that gut feeling, or we get butterflies, they do describe the stomach as like the second brain. They say we've got three thinking areas of the body now: the mind, here, the heart, and the stomach. Serotonin is a neurotransmitter that's created in the brain as well as in the intestines. Once produced, it is circulated in the blood and throughout the central nervous system. Serotonin is linked to digestion, blood clotting, and bone density. But its most important function in terms of what makes us happy is regulating mood. Some scientists even refer to serotonin as the happiness chemical because higher serotonin levels increase feelings of well-being, confidence, and belonging. People who are diagnosed with depression typically have low levels of serotonin available, whereas people with high serotonin often report being happier. People with higher serotonin levels also demonstrate higher levels of self-esteem and have an easier time of handling rejection. That part makes sense because if you have naturally higher levels of serotonin, you're just going to be more upbeat. And imagine serotonin as like a suit of armor. Do you know what I mean? A happiness suit of armor. So if you get rejected or something happens, there's just more chance that that's going to bounce off. So that makes perfect sense. So why does serotonin make us happy? Does it make us happy? The short answer is yes. And you don't have to rely on your natural serotonin levels. Cuddling with your partner, aerobic exercise, getting all the sunshine, getting a massage, and even visualizing something that makes you happy can increase serotonin levels. You know, we did the butterfly hug. The butterfly hug is this. It's a really, really slow tap. So this is to calm the nervous system down. That's an example of how we can change how we are feeling by something of our behavior. I'm going to go into the science of smiling later and how when we force a smile, we can literally change the chemical levels in our body just by forcing a smile. And I read a study earlier, and it was about shop assistants and how when they force a smile, but it becomes fake, it's actually quite bad for them. They have to force the smile because they're in a shop and they want to look happy. That doesn't always happen, does it? Not in some of the shops I've been in. Doesn't have to shop. Petit facade, you always get a massive smile. And what they encourage people to do is to link the smile to a happy thought, like a happy beach or a happy memory or something like that. So serotonin, we can force the release of serotonin. Dopamine is another neurotransmitter made in the brain and distributed through various pathways to affect bodily functions like heart rate, blood vessel and kidney function, nausea, vomiting, and even pain. Dopamine is perhaps most famous for its role in what makes us happy. Your body releases dopamine as part of the reward system after sex or a good meal or even when you've reached a goal. And that's why it's known as the reward molecule. In this way, it plays a role in how quickly and effectively you get things done. Your body knows if it achieves an objective, your mind will flood the body with dopamine, causing you to feel happy and fulfilled. That's why when people go to the gym, they often get that rush. I don't get that rush, but I do begin to feel compromised mentally if I don't go to the gym. So for me, it's like the other way around. This isn't just true of achieving big goals. Even when you accomplish a small task, your dopamine levels will increase. So when we go for goal setting, we go for really, really small goals, but we achieve them, because every time we achieve, we get a dopamine release. Whereas if we don't achieve, we don't get that dopamine release. Not only do we not get the dopamine release, but also we would go the other way, and maybe our inner critical dialogue would start to berate us for not achieving the goal. There's this really interesting, I keep going off, really interesting model of self-esteem. And the model is set goals, go through all the stages, achieve goals. So you would think, yeah, we've achieved goals. In the head of somebody that has really, really low self-esteem, they would then say, I didn't set the goals hard enough, so therefore they go straight back to the top and go through the process again. It's almost like they can't get to the bottom, achieve the goals, and then go, okay, that's great, that's amazing, and then get that rush of dopamine. It's not good enough. They, in their head, they go, I haven't tried hard enough, I need to set the goal even higher. And then we go back to the top of the grid and start working through it again. Which I remember learning that and thinking that's fascinating. That's really, really interesting. Let's see what's on the feed. I can't say that one. I can't say that one. It's in the feed, you can read it yourself, but I can't say it out loud. I would get slated. So Lindsay's, but I never knew this about fake smiling. It is definitely true. If you can literally, I would encourage you to do it inside your privacy. But if you fake a smile, it literally sends a signal to the brain that you're happy, and then the brain releases the appropriate chemicals. In the same way that if somebody gave me a cake and I smiled and went, oh my God, I've got a cake, then I would get that natural rush of either of those two chemicals. But yeah, we can force a smile, and it literally, it's not as much, it's not as real as, you know what I mean? It's not as real as like a real event, but you can definitely force it, and it definitely increases. So really interesting. Lifted anxiety, guilt, and worry alone can seem like happiness. Yeah, absolutely. Especially if those things have been there for a while. Absolutely. So if you think about those things there, lifted, so anxiety, guilt, and worry alone, they're like dampeners. And again, as I go on, I'm going to talk about the effect that there's a third chemical here, the effect this third chemical has on our ability to be happy. And you know, I've talked in the past about head and heart. It kind of leads into there as well. So absolutely, I agree. Tom says, but at least 45% would be a good almost every week. Yeah, I could go with that. I could definitely go with that. Oh, thank you, Denise. Denise says, but you're always known as happy. Your dazzling smile spreads happiness. Thank you. I am sure there are many people that would disagree with that. I'm not always happy. That would be an absolute lie. What's the difference between happiness and contentment? Ooh, great question. For me, I'm going to have to answer it for me. Contentment is, if I do it on a scale, happiness is here and contentment is here. And contentment is more grounded. It feels more stable. And if somebody said to me, do you want to spend the rest of your life happy, where we go, I'm happy, or content, where we go, I'm content, I would choose contentment. Because it feels more balanced. Yeah, balanced. I wish I could draw you a scale. It feels like happiness is just, that contentment is in the middle of a scale of happiness, and happiness is just above. And then we have elation, and then we have joy, and then we have excitement, and all of those that go above it. Maybe not in that order, but you know what I mean. So contentment for me is slightly below happiness, but still a lovely place to be. Think about the word contentment, and think about the last time that you felt content, And, you know, it could have been something really simple like sitting on the settee and sitting down to your favourite programme, sitting on the settee and Bake Off starting again. You know, that feeling of contentment that rushes over us. It could be that. Great question. Thank you. Oh, bless you. Mood hoovers are the worst. That's an answer to somebody else. Right, let's carry on with this. Dopamine. Dopamine is a big part of what causes happiness, and like serotonin, you can increase its levels naturally. Exercise plays a part here again, as well as avoiding processed foods, sugar, and caffeine. But the best way to keep dopamine levels high is get a good night's sleep. For those that haven't watched all of these and been involved in all of these, we did a sleep one probably about 3 weeks ago. Everything now appears in my YouTube channel, which is Go Through Therapy. There's almost over 100 pieces of content in there now, and sleep is definitely in there. And there's also some amazing studies on sleep. So sleep is really powerful, and I've said it all along that it's really important that we get sleep. And these people here have said it. Cortisol is a hormone made by the body's adrenal glands. In normal amounts, it reduces inflammation in the body and regulates blood pressure, blood glucose, and sleep. It's also the body's main stress hormone and is most famous for instigating the fight or flight response. When you're living in a state of constant stress, cortisol becomes elevated. This state not only reduces our serotonin and dopamine happiness, it also negatively impacts on memory and focus, can lead to weight gain, and have serious effects on our major organs and immune system. So that's what I was saying earlier about if we are too stressed, then we literally can't be happy, because we can you remember a few weeks ago I said that it's almost impossible for us to be negative and positive at the same time. This is where we are right now, because if we are very, very stressed and we get the cortisol release, which is the stress hormone, then it dampens all of the kind of any kind of happiness. So it's like being really, really stressed at work all week, and then I don't know, sitting down with your friends on a Friday night after being stressed and expecting that you're going to have a nice time. You're going to have to kind of readjust a little bit and rebalance. It's not going to happen immediately like that. But too much cortisol will dampen your ability to be happy and content. Yeah, does that make sense? Hope so. I choose contentment. Me too. Somebody's put, happiness is being married to a hairdresser during lockdown. Yeah, I go with that. The other part of happiness is that still laughing at that comment, is being married to somebody that's really good at cutting hair. Just saying. Well, is really good with a set of clippers, I should say. Right, we're going to move on to, because I'm sure that all you lovely people really want to know how we develop more happiness. Is that right? Is that what you want to know? Is that what you want? Or do you just want to know about the science of it? So just going over this a little bit, the science of it, we have more science. We know what chemicals are released during certain behaviors and acts. And now we understand that, and we get it more. So now we can pin certain acts to releases of the hormones we want. You know, not the cortisol, the dopamine, and the serotonin. That's what we want. We want those to be released. The first one's not going to. So these are how we become happier, not happy. Okay, so this is how we shift ourselves from our current place into a happier place. So the first one is move your body. Nobody's going to be surprised. I say every day on my morning lives, get outside and have a walk. Please get outside and get some fresh air. Every morning I say that. When we are stagnant, when we are very still, our body and our system really slows down. So any chemicals or hormones or infections or anything that are kind of stuck in the endocrine system, I think it is, will get stuck. But when we move, the body kind of, it's almost like it speeds up a little bit. So car stagnant, or just ticking over a little bit because you turn the key, or car moving, shifts everything around the engine, and the body's exactly the same. It needs some sort of movement. Remember this, and I've said it before, I'll say it again. The body needs movement every day, and the mind needs stillness every day. So those two things, movement and stillness every day, a period of 10 minutes of each would absolutely sort it out. That's all you really need, is those 10 minutes of each. Okay, so being outside is really important, or getting some sort of movement. Ooh, I like that one. Happiness is being past toasty warm pajamas, loungewear. Your advice from another morning live the other day. It's the small things that bring happiness by receiving as well as giving. I love that. I can't believe somebody put your PJs on the radiator after I said that's amazing. How wonderful would it be to have my PJs put on the radiator? Just saying. Let's see if that one happens. Uh, we're talking about dogs and the joy that dogs bring into the world, because they really do. It's having the energy and the warmth of another living thing in the house. They bring an awful lot of joy into our world. They just do, and they don't argue with us. So the second one is feed your mind. Make a point to feed your mind with nutritious information like self-help books, interesting biographies, or inspirational novels. What we're not going to do when we are feeding our mind is go through Facebook and unhealthy or unhelpful posts from negative people. We are going to unfollow all of those immediately, and we're going to focus on all the nice people that we like that post really positive things, like their pictures and their positive quotes and happy stories. We're going to do all that because that will stimulate the mind. Reading self-help books stimulates the mind. Reading a book about a mass murderer or rapist is going to stimulate the mind, but in the wrong way. Okay, and I know it doesn't sound as much fun, but it's about feeding your mind with nutrition, or feeding your mind. Sometimes I watch stuff on TV. We watch stuff on TV in this house that can be really mind-blowingly dull. But actually, I'm okay with that, because my mind is so active all day, analysing and really looking at stuff in great detail, that sometimes when I go into there, I just need to switch off and watch something really blasé that I can just sit and enjoy. Light entertainment. We call it light entertainment. So it's really important that when we look for stimulus in terms of books and magazines and music and TV and social media, that we go with a stimulus that really feeds us. Let's try and feed the souls. Let's try and feed us a little bit, even mentally, with stuff that is really powerful and really interesting. Maybe like this. I don't know. Surround yourself with support. Finally, surround yourself with those who are positive and supportive will stimulate the release of feel-good brain chemicals and help you remain in a peak state. This is a real classic. We are not learning anything new here, that when we are around people that feed our souls, that are very positive, then we become more positive. I know that this is hard for some people, because for some people their family could be very negative, or their partner could be very negative, and I know that it can become very hard. I have a question that somebody wrote in that I'm going to answer later, and it was about being around somebody that you want to make happy but you can't. So I'm going to have a little bit of a conversation around that later, because that's not our responsibility, but we'll get back to that. So surround yourself with as much positivity as I can. If you don't have family or a partner that's positive, then do things like this. Go online and see what's around. I know that we're in a difficult situation right now, because we're all separated, and this is our only means of communication, which is one of the reasons why we did these, because it felt like the best way to communicate. I remember me and Helen Ellison having this conversation way back in September. And she says, how can we reach people? And I said, the only way we can reach people is through this medium right here. But we can. And look at the feed. Look at the feed that is taking place right in front of me here of your amazing group of people that are chit-chatting with each other. That's what's created. That's that chit-chat there of people talking. People talking about Bregton. Bridgerton stimulated my mind, and now I need a Duke in my life. Yeah, Denise, I'll go with that one. Max says this is why he likes sit. I don't know what that means, Joe. Max says is why he likes to play video games as it engages his brain in a different way. Perfect. I'm not against video games at all because they do have a place in our world. If I if I go and tinker on my keyboard, that engages my brain in a really different way. Joe, you sit with knitting needles and create the most beautiful bobble hats. It engages your brain in a different way, so you can stop kind of analysing or doing what you do on a day-to-day basis. So for Max, it's about looking at numbers and engaging something different. The only thing about video games or anything like that is we can become slightly addicted to it. I'm not sure being addicted to knitting would be a bad thing necessarily, but being addicted to video games might be. And also the wrong type of video games. I remember working with a client years ago who was very, very anxious. And after about week 3, the client says, "Oh yeah, anxiety's dropped a little bit." I went, "Oh, what's changed?" Started playing a different game. I was like, "Oh, okay, tell me about it." So gone from playing with guns and bombs and murdering people to doing a bit of farming on a game, and I went, "Wow, what a difference!" And the client went, "Oh, you think that's the reason I'm calm?" And I went, "Yeah, that is definitely the reason you're calmer because your brain isn't being stimulated in that way." So massive difference there. Sleep more, you'll be less sensitive to negative emotions. We know that sleep helps our body recover from day to day and repairs itself, as we talked about a few weeks ago, and it helps us focus and be more productive. It turns out sleep is also important for happiness. Negative stimuli gets processed by the amygdala. Positive or natural memories gets processed by the hippocampus. Sleep deprivation hits the hippocampus harder than the amygdala. The result is that sleep-deprived people fail to recall pleasant memories, yet recall gloomy memories that are fine. Let me simplify that for you. We talked a few weeks ago about the model of the chimp and the human, chimp being 5 times stronger, 5 times faster than human. Chimp is our primal need to survive. Humans, like little person here, this chimp's big and fast. If we don't get a lot of sleep, then our human is like, ugh. Whereas chimp, like the Duracell bunny, is still going, and certainly still going 5 times faster than this. So this is our rationale, this is our thinking machine, this is the one that's going to create more positive psychology, whereas this one is the overthinker and the one looking for danger all the time. So chimp, human. Chimp is always, regardless of how tired we get, is always going to be bigger and faster and first on the scene. But this one just reduces even more. So when we are looking for positive stimuli, it just becomes that little bit harder. And that's why I said weeks ago that sleep is like our absolute foundation. It's like a building block for the next day. And if we wake up and we haven't had a good night's sleep for whatever reason, then the day just gets that little bit more difficult. What time are we at? Okay. So sleep. Spend more time with, this one's difficult, again before I read it, spend more time with friends, family. Money can't buy you happiness. Staying in touch with friends and family is one of the top 5 regrets of the dying, or not spending time with them. So why is this difficult right now? Because we're in the middle of a lockdown and a pandemic, and actually people are missing people more than ever. And they're missing touch and they're missing hugs. Honestly, please go online. Please create some sort of Zoom session or Zoom quiz. Or we have a couple of friends now that on a Saturday evening, every 2 or 3 weeks, we'll sit and have dinner with, because it's nice. It's nice to say, "You want to do dinner on Saturday?" And we sit down and we set the screen up. And then we sit and have dinner and go, "What are you having for dinner tonight? Then what are you having?" And we sit and we have a drink, we have a laugh, and we have a chat. Honestly, it works. It absolutely works. I know I can hear people screaming at me, "It's horrible, it's horrible." But it definitely works. It really does. I'm just going to share my feed again. You can copy me if you want, and share it as well. How do you spot I love my work and that makes me happy? That's amazing. That's really amazing, because not everybody's job makes them happy, but I think if you're in a job that makes you happy, that is incredible. And I put my hand up to that one. Don't forget, if you've got any questions, feed them in and I will do my best to answer the questions. So, friends, family, difficult at the minute because we are in a situation where we can't be necessarily connected to them, but I encourage you to find new ways of connecting. And don't forget that you can still be outside and walking with a friend. You can still do that. Okay, so please do that. In terms of whether we're going to follow guidelines or your mental health is way more important to me than any kind of guidelines. And I would argue with the policeman that was stood in front of me over that. I would argue with anybody that your mental health is priority, absolutely priority. And that's not me encouraging you to break guidelines, because I would never do that. But I do want you to take your mental health quite seriously. Social time is highly valuable when it comes to improving our happiness, even for introverts. Several studies have found that time spent with friends and family makes a big difference to how we feel. We are born social animals. That's who we are. We're just naturally social, and I think the last year has taken its toll on everybody, particularly those that are living alone, that don't have another person in the house. I think for them it's even harder. So that's why I encourage you to get out, walk, pick up a takeaway coffee from somewhere. We quite often leave this house and walk into town, which is a good hour and a quarter, hour and a half, and that's it. Walk into town, pick up coffee up, and then walk back. But it's 15,000 steps. It's really good, and if it's a nice day, it's just a pleasant walk. But you don't have to step far in this beautiful country of ours to hit the most beautiful scenery. Honestly, you don't. Help others. So this is an interesting one. Actually, I'm going to go back. Get outside more, happiness is maximized. I keep saying that, don't I? Making time to go outside on a nice day also delivers a huge advantage. One study found that spending 20 minutes outside in good weather not only boosted positive mood, but broadened thinking and improved work memory. I'm going to delete the part there that says good weather. For me, at this time of year, we cannot use not sunny weather as a reason not to go outside. So today, it was a little bit dank this morning. Got a little bit better. It was dry, but it was still a great day for walking. Even if it's raining like this, I sit in front of a window here. You can't see it, but I sit in front of a window. And even on a rainy day, I see people walking, and they are walking with no purpose, but they're outside walking because they want some fresh air. And I commend those people. Today, I took the dogs out for a walk. They really annoyed me because they were doing what dogs do, and they were peeing and pooing and all the rest of the stuff. And I came back and dropped the dogs off, and then I went for a march on my own, because then I can really get my blood flowing, and it really clears my mind, whereas when I'm with the dogs. So dogs are great for walking, but it's not always hitting the mark, particularly at the minute. We're having to take it up a little bit. I'm having to take it up and walk even further, so as my mind comes back down to a really nice, pleasant place where I can do stuff like this and be with you beautiful people. So yeah, get outside, 20 minutes in any weather. It doesn't need to be good weather. Yeah, 20 minutes. I'm encouraging people to try and get up to 10,000 steps a day. I know that if you're working full time, it's really hard, and I know it's hard because I work full time. So doing 10,000 steps a day is definitely difficult. How nice is it to wake up to birds tweeting and when it's much brighter? It's amazing. We are definitely heading in the right direction. Let's remember, we're heading in the right direction because we have a vaccine. I think numbers are going down. I don't follow them, and we are definitely getting lighter nights. And the spring is ahead of us. The spring is right ahead of us. Just looking at a message there. Here's an interesting one. Help others. 100 hours a year, I've read this somewhere, 100 hours a year is the magic number. One of the most counterintuitive pieces of advice I've found is to make yourself feel happier, you should help others. In fact, 100 hours per year or 2 hours per week is the optimal time we should dedicate to helping others in order to enrich our lives. When researchers interviewed more than 150 people about their recent purchases, they found that money spent on activities such as concerts and group dinners out, bought for more pleasure, than material purchases like shoes, televisions, or expensive watches. Spending more money on people, called pro-social spending, also boosts happiness. So I think I got two things mixed up there. So the first one was helping people, so doing a little bit of voluntary work, or let's not see it as voluntary work. Let's see it as doing somebody a bit of shopping or tidying somebody's garden up. But it has a massive emotional payback for us when we do things for other people, when we make things for other people, when we give things to other people, or when we do acts of kindness for other people. I read a study earlier that said, and I was really shocked at this, really shocked, so shocked that I almost don't want to share it with you in case of how you read it. And it said that we actually get more payback from doing things for other people than we do doing nice things for ourselves. That is not a reason not to do nice things for yourself. Okay? I still want you to do nice things for yourself because I think we are absolutely worth it. But in terms of payback and in terms of emotional payback, we definitely get more payback when we do nice things for other people. So I thought that was quite interesting. Time are we on? 46. Let me answer this question that somebody asked. So somebody emailed and asked, they were in a difficult situation because, editing my words in my head, they felt responsible for somebody else's happiness. Let's leave it there. They felt responsible for somebody else's happiness. They still cared about this person, but this person wasn't necessarily hearing or listening to what they were saying to them in terms of good, solid advice. It's really hard. I'm not going to lie to you. This is a really, really hard situation to be in because we care about said person and we want to rescue them. But the truth is we can't. We can't rescue them and we can't make them happy. You know the phrase, you can lead a horse to water? Well, it's really true. We can do all we can. So here's what I encourage you to do. Because particularly if said situation is draining you, is draining your battery, then even more so I want you to step back because I want you to put your mental health and your resilience front and center. Because if you put your resilience and mental health front and center, then you can always be there for other people. But if one person drains you because you're trying and you're trying and you're trying and you're trying, in the email, this person put, do I need to become more resilient? Do I need to become tougher? Becoming more resilient, yeah, I would say so, but not so much in a tough way. So what I tend to do with people now is I tend to drop a seed. I call it seed dropping, where I go, so what are you going to do about it? Or have you tried this? Have you been out for a walk today? Have you, how much caffeine have you had today? Or I might ask the gentle question, what changes are you going to make? Or how do you want to change this? How do you want this to be different? And we're not all therapists. We're not all therapists, and I don't want you to pretend to be therapists, but when we feed people, they become very reliant on us. Whereas when we ask them a question, it gently encourages them. It gently makes them sit up and if they can't hear it, then they can't hear it. But what you can't do is allow it to drain you, because then you can't be there for anybody and you certainly can't be there for yourself. It's really hard. We are not responsible for other people's happiness. We are only responsible for our own happiness. This is adulthood. This is not children. As parents, we are responsible for our children. But in terms of adults, other adults, we are not responsible for other people's happiness. We're just not. And I know it sounds harsh, and I can hear the words in my head, and I can hear how hard it sounds, but we're just not. Okay, and I urge you to gently ask questions like, what do you want to change? How do you think you could be happier? What have you done today that might have made you a little bit more content? Ask gentle questions like that and then let them decide. So what I do is I might drop a seed and then say, do you want a cup of tea? And then I walk off and make a cup of tea. I don't wait for an answer. We're not looking for answers because they might not know what the answer is. So you drop the question and then you walk away. Or you drop the question and you change subjects. Drop the question and say, anyway, how's Mary? How's Mary doing? How's work? And move on to something else. Drop it, they will hear you. If they really want to hear you, then they'll hear you and they'll pick it up. And then they'll look at it and go, I wonder what they meant by that. Okay? I hope that helps a little bit. Welcome to everybody that is still joining. This is Wellness Wednesday. We're here every Wednesday between 7 and 8. We do subjects that help with our mental and physical health. I'm Kevin Guthrie, and I'm a coach and psychotherapist. Kevin, it makes you happy to bake some more sticky toffee pudding than I won't stand in your. I bet you wouldn't. It is time I made some more actually. Oh, Denise Ross has put not bad weather, just bad clothing. I absolutely agree. There is no such thing as bad weather, just bad clothing. So much conversations going on here. I love this. This is amazing. Right, let's get back to, oh, I love this one. So let's go on to the practice smiling. Practice smiling, reduce pain, improve mood, think better. Smiling can make us feel better, but it's more effective when we back it up with positive thoughts, according to a study. Of course, it's important to practice real smiles where you use your eye sockets. You've seen fake smiles. That's a real smile. You've seen fake smiles where they don't reach the person's eyes. Try it. Smile with just your mouth and then a smile naturally with where your eyes narrow. There's a huge difference in a fake smile and a genuine smile. But as I said earlier, when we fake a smile we can definitely increase the serotonin in our bodies. We can change the levels. So remember that part. I wouldn't encourage it because sometimes when we try and fake a smile, it doesn't come across as very natural and it can look a little bit odd. Can't it? Just a little bit sometimes. So yeah, if you're going to do that, do it on your own. How much is left? That much. Plan a trip, even if you don't actually take one. I love this. I'm so on board with this. So for me, I've been saying, can we book something for September? Can we book something for September, please? And actually, do I care if I honestly do get on a plane in September or go somewhere? Not necessarily, but just that little bit of excitement over booking something, I think would be amazing. So I love this one. As opposed to actually taking a holiday, simply planning a vacation or a break from work can improve our happiness. A study published in the journal blah 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 showed that the highest spike in happiness came from during the planning stage of a vacation, as people enjoy the sense of anticipation. How amazing is that? So plan something. We can look forward now into the summer, and we can begin to gently plan our summer months. In the study, the effect of the vacation anticipation boosted happiness for 8 weeks. After the vacation, happiness quickly dropped back to baseline for most people. So hear that again. Most of the happiness comes from the planning of the vacation and not the vacation itself. I did not know that. I have just learned that at exactly the same time as you. I think that is fascinating. Excuse me. One study found that people who just thought about watching their favourite movie actually raised their endorphin levels by 27%. If you can't take time for a vacation right now, or even a night out with friends, can't do that right now, put something on the calendar, even if it's a month or a year down the road, then, excuse me, whenever you need a boost of happiness, remind yourself about it. Power of the mind. Good grief, the power of our minds here. In the same way that we use our minds in a very, very unhealthy, unhelpful way, we can use it exactly the opposite way. We can use it in a really, really positive way. And I urge you to do that. We are really good at inner critical dialogue. We're really good at berating ourselves, seeing our negative, seeing everything that went wrong. Let's try and switch that into something more positive. Let's try and switch that into planning nice things and and being and having a boost of happiness because of that. Okay. Excuse me for coughing. I can't turn my mic off, so I can't cough in silence. Uh, thank you, sis. I'm on board with the planning. I love the excitement. I've got lots of haircuts to do. We're having a break. We've come so far. Get yourself on a get in, Joe. Joe's on my side. I love that. This is a bit of a random one. Oh no, it's 3 minutes to. No, I'm not. I can't. I can't do it now because I haven't got time. Practice gratitude, increase happiness and satisfaction. I talk about this one all the time. When we practice gratitude, for me, it is about seeing everything in our world from, I don't know, from having a pen to having the luxury of being able to have a cup of tea, decaf tea with a bit of lemon and some honey, some locally sourced honey. How lucky is that? When I look for gratitude and when I talk to people about gratitude in here in therapy, I say to them, I'm waiting to look for the small things. Hi, Josie. We're looking for small things like, do you have food in the cupboard? Do you have towels to dry yourself in? Do you have hot water? Do you have a roof over your head? Do you have a bed to sleep in? These are the things that we nearly all have, nearly all of us. Most people watching this right now will have all those things. That's gratitude right there. It's not, oh yeah, well I haven't got the latest car, or I haven't got a very big house, or a bit strapped for cut clothing at the minute, or the electric bill hasn't been paid. If you've got electric, you've got electric. So when we look for gratitude, look for small things. And if you want to, if over the next week you want to change your entire world, then do it this way. Write down 3 things that you're grateful for every day. I once did an exercise, and it was an exercise of write down 100 things that you're grateful for. 100 things. I'm not going to task you with that. And it was really hard. It was really hard to come up with 100 things. I went through everything. Like, I've got underwear and I've got socks and I've got shirts. But it was really difficult, but it was also an amazing exercise to do. But I encourage you, if you want to change your happiness, do this one thing, just this one thing. Write down 3 things that you're grateful for every day. And I know Joel that's watching, Joe definitely does that. One of the loveliest things I ever read was when you put the kids to sleep, when you put them to bed, always take them to bed and say to them, what have you enjoyed about today? What were you proud of that you did today? We don't do buts. Well, I helped Mary across the road, but no buts. We just go with the positive and let them go to sleep on a real positive. If you're getting into bed, then spend your last few thoughts thinking about what you've enjoyed about today and go to bed in a really, really happy place. How lovely would that be? I can't believe how quickly the hour's gone. I will be back in the morning at 8:15 with another Lockdown Live. This week we are looking at thinking styles. We did black and white thinking. Today we did catastrophizing, which I can hardly say. And everybody still hear me okay? Somebody said they've lost sound. So I just wanted to make sure that you could still hear me okay. Everything's still on. So I'll be back in the morning at 8:15 with another Lockdown Live, and we're going to look at another unhelpful thinking style. And next week we will be back between 7 o'clock and 8 o'clock. If we're not covering stuff that you wanted to cover, then please message me privately and I will cover stuff. I hope that the answer that I gave earlier to the lady that that emailed me, I really hope that helps. Other people's happiness is not your responsibility. And I know that's a difficult shift to make, but honestly, it's absolutely not. I'm going to go because I think my tea is getting ready. I want to say love and peace to everybody that has taken part in this. You are an amazing bunch of people, and I can't wait to see you all next week or tomorrow morning at 8:15. Your choice, okay? Take care and be kind to yourself and be kind to everybody around you. Okay, bye-bye.